figure I should give a brief preface on this one before starting. This movie I'm about to review, The Castle of Cagliostro, is the second in a series of Lupin III movies. The first one was called The Mystery of Mamo. This series had a long run, starting in 1978 and having a recent entry in 2017. The main character of the movies, Lupin III, was originally a manga created by Monkey Punch. So you may be wondering, why am I reviewing the second movie instead of the first movie? The obvious reason to that question is, I don't have it. However, the real reason is because of the sequel's director. I hope I say his name right. Hayao Miyazaki. If that name doesn't have any importance, let me enlighten you. Essentially, this man would go on to form Studio Ghibli. Some people say Ghibli, some people say Ghibli, where they cranked out critically acclaimed animated movies for over 30 years, and he is even still in business today. Several of these movies won great awards, including an Oscar for Spirited Away. Maybe I'll do a review on that one later. According to my research, this was the first time this man had directed a feature-length film. This movie was originally released in 1979, and while not a box office smash, did turn out a reasonable profit. American viewers, like myself, would have to wait until 1991 for the first theatrical release. The following years, the movie was released on VHS. The dub was done by Streamline Pictures, and to my knowledge, this dub is available on Netflix at this time, November 2018. This version had some legal troubles, though, and could not call Lupin by his actual name. Instead, they referred to him as the Wolf.
No one come near her! Do you hear me, Wolf?
Another dub was made by Manga in 2000, which is the copy I own. This version was able to call Lupin by name.
Lupin, you alive?
However, this version added a lot of profanity.
Don't move, you meddling bitch!
I personally don't mind it. Kinda gives it more of an edge, and plus it just fits with the 80s feel. A third dub was made for the Blu-ray, which was kind of an edit on the manga dub. Basically, a lot less swearing in this one. And all three dubs that I've mentioned are on the Blu-ray for your viewing pleasure. Well, that is the history of this movie in a nutshell. Let's start the review. Right away, the movie seems to take influence from James Bond, as well as other action movies of this time. This means there's a short little sequence at the beginning to see if you like the movie. This is followed by a title sequence, and then what I like to call the real story. We open with the main character Lupin, with his assistant Tegan, stealing a lot of money from the National Casino. Unfortunately, the alarm activates and they have to make their escape in a hurry. Local law enforcement try to give them a chase, but find all their vehicles have been disabled. A hood opens up to reveal a note from Lupin. According to the Streamline dub, it says something like, "Keep up the good work, gents," or something sarcastic like that. However, in this version, you pretty much have to guess, unless you can read kanji.
Billions of bucks with unmarked cereals. We're rich bastards.
Hey, don't drown me in it. I've got a lot of spending to do before I die.
If you don't kill us with your driving first.
Upon closer inspection of this money, it's revealed to be counterfeit.
Top quality, too.
You're kidding. They're bogus?
However, this work is legendary and referred to as the Goat Bills. I'm not sure if there's any basis for this in the real world, but they do a good job making it believable. With the money being worthless, they decide to just throw it all away, where we move into the title sequence. Depending on which dub you're watching, there may be some differences. For the manga version, here it is written in English and projected over still frames. For the streamlined version, however, the credits are in the original Japanese, and are written over fully animated frames. This is probably the only aspect I prefer the streamlined version to, though I do wish they could have a version with fully animated credits written in English, but I digress. During the credits, we find Tegan and Lupin are traveling in search of the legendary forgers. They stop in a little country known as Cagliostro.
Never heard of the place. The smallest member of the United Nations with a population of 3,500.
What makes you think this burg is where the goat bills originate?
This place is infamous with the crime world. It's the black hole of counterfeiting.
Huh? Black hole?
Yeah, snoops who get too nosy around here are never seen again.
While driving through, they get a flat tire, which, after seeing how much traveling they did in the title sequence, it's surprising this didn't happen sooner. Anyway, Tegan and Lupin have a rock, paper, scissors battle to see who changes the tire. I want to note here, I find it funny how the humor in this movie can be kind of childish at times, yet I find it weird this is the first audible sentence of the entire movie.
Son of a bitch!
Seems to be quite a stark contrast. While the tire is being changed, a beautiful girl speeds by wearing a wedding dress. We find she is being pursued by a small group of mysterious men. Lupin supercharges the car to chase after them. This prompts probably my favorite action scene of the whole movie. Not to say that the other ones are bad, I just have a lot of fun with this one. The animation is really fluid, maybe even a little exaggerated to show the weight and the speed of the car. Here we see the guys in suits really mean business.
They're tires. Damn, they didn't buy that off the lot.
They're hit, but not badly.
Finally some excitement around here. Going up.
I love how in this version of the dub, they take a near-death experience more like a, is that all you got? Rather than a, phew, that was a close one. Since they can't disable the vehicle from behind, they try going to the front by, well, I guess that's one way to do it, isn't it?
Let's go for something more heavy duty. Yes!
Lupin drives up to this woman to find that she's passed out. I honestly thought she was dead when I first saw this movie. Lupin is able to jump into the car to slow it down, but not before driving off a cliff. With Lupin's quick reflexes, he's able to throw a grappling hook to both save himself and the mysterious woman. This mysterious woman starts to wake up and starts beating upon Lupin until she realizes that he's saving her from a deep cliff. Lupin slowly lowers down, but the tree branch he grappled onto falls down, knocking him out cold. Once again, here's just kind of an example of the childish humor of this movie. While the woman is tending his wounds, more henchmen show up, and she is forced to flee. All she leaves behind is a ring. Lupin recognizes the symbol as the crest of the royal family. While investigating the ruins of the old royal castle, we go to the Count of Cagliostro. It was actually his men that were sent to go after this woman.
Foreigners? Yes. 2 men, my lord. They assisted the lady in eluding her pursuers.
Find them and have the interlopers dealt with.
At this time, the Count has recaptured the mysterious woman and heavily sedated her, as well as putting her in a very hard-to-reach castle to make sure nobody can take her away from him. At a local restaurant, Lupin examines the ring.
The inscription's in Capon, dead language.
So, can you read it?
Of course, when light and shadow are joined once again, it shall be restored, AD 1517. The date's in Roman numerals.
That thing's over 400 years old.
After a nice hearty meal, the two rent out a hotel room. While trying to uncover the mystery of the ring, they have some visitors.
Hey, look, the whole gang's here.
They make their escape with a tactical flashbang grenade.
Let's go! Oh, yeah, that was fun.
That was a full-scale attack they launched. I think we hit a nerve.
And I thought this would be dull.
Since it's not safe at the hotel anymore, the group decide to camp out in the remains of the old castle. There they meet Goemon. I said Goemon, though that does sound a lot like a Digimon. Anyways, there's an inspector from Interpol, which caught wind that Lupin is in this area.
Lupin is very treacherous, Your Excellency. He'll rob you right under your nose.
We have law enforcement, too, although we prefer the refined term of Royal Guard.
Do you think it wise to have that fellow inside the castle, my lord?
Don't worry, I have influential friends even at Interpol. Our guests will be leaving soon.
Meanwhile, Lupin and Tegan try breaking into the castle through the aqueducts. I love how even while wearing the diving suit, Tegan still has to wear that top hat. It's interesting. However, there is a mix-up in the machinery, and Tegan and Lupin are separated. Through this, though, he's able to make it to the castle, just barely missing Inspector Zenigata. As a way to get further into the castle, Lupin disguises himself as the inspector.
I want to see the count at once. Did you hear me? Right now. Rest assured I'll be back. We're pulling out for now.
Sir!
Tell me, was I just up here?
What?
That was Lupin disguised as me trying to sneak in here, you rube! Didn't you see through that, you overgrown strudel head?
And during this scuffle, Lupin is able to make it inside and triggers a booby trap for Zenigata. While investigating the castle, Lupin bumps into an old friend. She tells Lupin where the mysterious woman from before is. Her name is Clarice. She is in a very hard-to-reach tower without a key, but by sheer dumb luck, Lupin is able to make it into the tower. Once inside, Lupin returns the ring to Clarice, then proceeds to win her heart by being very poetic. It's hard to describe, so I think I'll just show you.
What I came seeking is a precious jewel that an evil sorcerer has locked away in a dark, forbidding tower. With your consent, this humble thief will liberate the lovely gem.
Meaning me?
Like a beautiful treasure that's hidden away in a shadowy vault. An innocent maiden is forced to marry against her will, but an outlaw whisks her to freedom. Ooh. You see, heroism goes along with my job.
Just then, the lights come on, along with the assassins from earlier. After some banter from both the Count and Lupin, a hole opens up in the floor, and Lupin is sucked in.
If the fall doesn't kill him, that pit is a foul hell from which there is no escape.
The Count then tries a more heavy-handed approach of winning over Clarice.
Don't feign ignorance with me, Clarice. You're as much a Cagliostro as I am. In both our veins flows the ancient blood of the Ram. We share a common heritage and its legacy.
Then, Lupin's voice starts coming through. The sound seems to be coming from the ring. The Count takes a closer look at it to see that it's a forgery.
Enough. So help me. If you lay one slimy finger on Clarice, your precious little ring is gonna end up like this.
It's fake!
Once again, another example of the sort of childish humor of this movie. In the pit, we find numerous people have been killed here for centuries. While looking through the bones, Lupin finds an inscription.
Here, Genosuke Kawakami, spy for the Japanese army, met his end. Avenge me.
A distant light appears, and we see that Zenigata is down there as well. The inspector has been down there for hours trying to find an exit, and hope that maybe Lupin can find a way out. However, all hope has been lost. Lupin just kind of figures, let's just take a nap for now. The next day, the assassins show up to collect the ring. The assassins accidentally show them a way out of this place. Once outside, they find why there have been so many dead bodies throughout the years. There is a global-scale counterfeiting ring here. This is where all the gold bills have come from, and have wrecked humanity for ages.
The notorious imitation currency that silently brought about the upheavals of medieval Europe. It caused the collapse of the Bourbon dynasty, provided Napoleon with funding, and eventually triggered the Great Bank Panic of 1927. Goat bills were responsible for some of history's most influential and devastating events of the last 400 years. And those who came here looking for the source never left.
Here, Zenigata and Lupin agree to a temporary truce to destroy this operation and to get out of the castle. We go back to Clarice in her chambers. We find that Lupin's friend is with her and is about to make her escape. Her real name is Fujiko and has been secretly investigating the Count. However, Lupin being there can blow her cover, so she has to leave immediately. Just then, smoke starts rising from the floor and starts to envelop the whole castle. We find that Lupin and the inspector are burning all the counterfeit money. In this blaze, they're able to make their way to the Count's private gyrocopter. Before leaving, though, Lupin wants to save the fair Clarice. Both Clarice and Fujiko try breaking the windows to find that they are indestructible. However, Lupin finds another way in through the roof. While escaping, Fujiko provides some cover fire. Seems even in these early days, Miyazaki still believed in empowered female characters. The inspector isn't very good at the controls of the gyrocopter, and has trouble getting to Lupin when... Fujiko tries to help, but is outmatched. The Count appears. He wants the ring and the fair Clarice. Seeing this is the only way to save Lupin, she agrees. However, just before the Count can do his double-cross, Zenigata crashes through. Fujiko grabs Lupin, and they all make their escape. Lupin is left to recover his wounds, while the inspector is trying to go after the counterfeiting ring. Lupin has better luck, though, since investigating this small country could cause an international incident. 3 days pass, and Fujiko comes up with an idea. This is not only to get Clarice free, but also to bring the Count to justice. The wedding takes place between the Count and Clarice. Clarice has been heavily drugged. and there is a procession of oddly masked people here. They talk about this marriage reuniting light and dark. I thought there should be some guards wearing white as well, though that probably would be in poor taste. As a side note, the design of both the Ku Klux Klan and the uniforms seen in this movie probably have the same origins. During the Holy Week in Spain, people in the procession wear, I hope I'm saying this right, the capote, which is more for religious purposes than for spreading hate. The wedding seems to be going on just fine. However, during the ceremony, Lupin uses superstition to get Clarice away.
I then confer God's blessing upon you.
I object. This wedding is soiled by the Count's evil desires. In the name of the dead who lie beneath this castle, I have come to take your bride-to-be.
The Count isn't having it, and murders Lupin right on the spot.
Cry, Clarice. Your teeth can't die that easily.
I'm coming for you, Clarice.
Find him. He's got to be in here.
Well, look what I've got.
What is this?
But a twist! A great battle ensues. Lupin is able to make his escape when Zenigata comes in. Fujiko, pretending to be a news anchor, follows closely to Zenigata. They make it look like they're pursuing after Lupin, but accidentally find the counterfeit operation. Meanwhile, Lupin and Clarice make their way to the clock tower. On it is an inscription of two rams facing each other. These are the same rams etched on the ancient wedding rings.
Put them together and a message appears. It's in Qumran. Light and shadow. It's too worn. I can't read it.
When light and shadow are joined, face the sun-washed ram on high, the hour keeper, and place this within his eye. They're old words that have been passed down through my family. Are they of any help to you?
My dear, the mystery is solved.
Just then, the Count and his men show up for one last great showdown. Maybe it's just me, but I wonder if this fight may have influenced the ending of The Great Mouse Detective. I can't think of many other movies where there's an ending clash in a clock tower. Through the struggle, Lupin, the Count, and Clarice make it to the top of the tower. The whole time I feel the Count is overusing the evil villain laugh a little too much. Alright, we get it. You're the villain. The final piece of the puzzle is revealed for the life of Clarice.
See the ram crest up there? That's the sun-washed ram on high, the hour keeper. There's a hole in each of its eyes where the rings go. I'll give you the rings now, but if you hurt the girl, I'll throw them into the lake, and then I swear I'll kill you.
Once again, the Count goes for a double cross. Lupin and Clarice both go into the reservoir, while the Count goes after the treasure. Tower is destroyed. Behind the tower, a large amount of water pours over the whole kingdom. Lupin and Clarice walk out into the light and find the treasure. A perfectly preserved Roman city. I was personally hoping for a ton of gold bars, but hey, it's still a pretty amazing treasure. Lupin must go. However, Clarice wants to go with him.
It's no life for a young lady. Do you want to go back into the darkness? Why, you've only just found your way into the sunlight. Hey, your whole life is ahead of you. It's beginning right now. Besides, you don't want to be a ne'er-do-well like me. But if you're ever in trouble, I'll come running. Just let me know and I'll rush to your rescue from the far reaches of the earth.
Lupin rides off into the morning, not the sunset, pursued by Zenigata, and that's how the movie ends. After finishing this movie, I thought to myself, this would make a pretty good series of movies. Then I discovered it's part of one already. If they are as good as this one, I will be hunting down for the rest of them. Though this isn't the first time Hayao Miyazaki did directing, and by far from the last, I think he did a really good job. Some critics of his might say his movies are a bit slow-moving. I will agree with that statement, but I think it's slow-moving in a way a classic black-and-white movie is, or the idea an epic masterpiece like Lawrence of Arabia is slow-moving at times. For me, I think it makes the characters more realistic. I think that's the main reason people like Miyazaki's work. Though it's animation, the characters are paced, written, and move like they're real people. Even in this movie, you can see some of Miyazaki's tropes come through. An empowered female character in Fujiko, as well as showing his love of flying. Also, it could be me, but there's something about Clarice. I feel like her design was used in a lot of his other works as well. For a while, my favorite work by Miyazaki had to be Castle in the Sky, but after watching this one, I have a new favorite. I love the action, I love the pacing, I love the characters, and even the soundtrack. I just simply love this movie. I will say though, I prefer the first draft of the manga dub, though I haven't seen the second draft. And for me, the streamlined dub, I feel kind of fails in comparison to the manga dub. I think I'll end the review here. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep having fun.